Hi, it's Tim Hagen from Progress Coaching, and welcome to another episode of Coaching Conversations. And I wanted to make you aware of something very cool that we're doing on a subscription basis, and we'll put a link in each one of our episodes. But every Wednesday, we're going to be doing what we call an audio podcast workshop. That workshop will be roughly about 14 to maybe 20 minutes per episode, with each month having a theme from a coaching model, using feedback strategically, to coaching self-awareness, and so on. So if you could look in the body or in the content description of each episode, and you will see a link where you can join this subscription. These are literally 4 workshops every month, teaching specific strategies to address a particular area of workplace coaching, as it relates, again, to things like awareness, motivation, teamwork, and what have you. Here's the cool thing. It's only $10 per month, and each month you will get a handout that we will follow along with. So we also give you a tool for you to take notes as we go through each episode. We hope you'll check it out.
When you hear the word conform does not mean to agree. One of the most interesting things happened to me yesterday. I was driving home from up north Wisconsin, and there was a blizzard. There was pretty severe whiteout conditions. If you have never driven in a Wisconsin or a winter storm like that, and if you're not experienced, it can be a very daunting task. And one of the things that I noticed that I thought was really, really interesting, and I kept looking in my rearview mirror to keep a distance with the driver behind me, and then certainly the driver in front of me, in case you had to come to a sudden stop and you didn't skid into somebody and cause a winter accident. And I looked behind me, and the one thing that happens when the plowing services of local communities go out is they usually plow one part of the road. There's a two-part of the road, meaning there's 2 lanes. And it was really interesting what happened. As I was traveling down the road, I noticed everybody stayed in a single file. Very few, if any, took the left lane, which had not been plowed, even if they had 4-wheel drive, and we stayed in a single file. And I thought to myself, why is everybody doing that? Why is everybody conforming to this single line? And it hit me. Safety. Think about that just for a second. Now, I'm not going to get into the political nuances of the vaccination. Yet, I think science has proven the vaccination has worked, okay? So I always share with people, my wife is a physician, so I get my news from her. But I also agree that if someone doesn't want to be vaccinated, I do think it's their personal right. Yet it's interesting. I know everybody in that single file yesterday driving home wanted to go faster, yet nobody did. And here was the amazing thing about this line of conformity. The only reason people could have been doing this was for safety. So think about the vaccination. Think about how charged up people get. Think about our political divide between Republicans and Democrats and how we go into conversations trying to convince the other person that they're wrong and you're right. Like, that's really going to happen. And it comes back to something that I think is really interesting. Our ability to converse and listen to each other. Here's the funny thing. I got all the way home. I never pulled over. Actually, I really couldn't have pulled over if I wanted to. That's how bad the weather was. And I pulled over to a gas station, and the weather had cleared up as I got closer to my house, about 20 minutes away. And a woman who had been following me pulled off at the same gas station. And I went up to her and I said, I noticed that you were driving back from Wisconsin. You were behind me most of the way. She said, yeah. I said, can I ask you a question? She said, sure. And I said, why do you think everybody stayed in a single file? She said, well, I think it's just safer. I said, okay, thanks. So I went into the store, paid for my gas, and I came out. She said, why did you ask me that question? And I said, I teach coaching, and I'm an observer of how people interact. And I think, our ability to converse and really listen to each other is important. I said, I found it amazing for miles behind us were a single file to be safe. Yet we're all going through this COVID thing. And she stopped and she said, wow, I never thought of it that way. I said, yeah, it's just interesting. We're willing to be safe in a blizzard, but we're willing to do so many other things that divide us. I think it really speaks to where we're at as a people and our ability to sit and calmly listen to one another and really think about, things such as political divide and issues and the vaccination and the new COVID variant coming out. And you have people who post on Facebook, this is still a hoax. Look at what the vaccine, it's not proving anything. And then you have some people saying, you have to get vaccinated. And there's just no middle ground. Yet in a blizzard, without even talking to each other, we all conformed for one another's safety. What are your thoughts? Thank you for listening to another episode of Coaching Conversations by Tim Hagan and Progress Coaching. Now, our company is always coming out with new and innovative solutions to help leaders coach their employees. And recently, we just created a new service called Coach to You, where leaders can pick and choose topics and assign 7 to 21-day programs for employees to learn and, more importantly, apply actions and then reflect and share what they're going to do going forward as a result of the learning. It's called Coach to You. We're literally bringing coaching to your employees. If you're intrigued, we'll have a link in each one of our episodes where you can get more information. And again, thank you so much for listening to another episode.